Danyelle, really appreciate you making some time for us. I would assume it's been a little hectic around the house as of late with Eric having the successful surgery. And I think Tommy Clay and kind of our audience were wondering, because I know he initially said he was going to wait to get it after the season. What kind of led him to decide, you know what, it's probably best that I go ahead and get this thing done?
Well, he was just in a lot of pain, and really, since he got injured, he had not really been able to sleep through the night, because I guess one of the things with shoulders is you can't, like, lay flat on your back. So he'd kind of been, like, trying to sleep in a chair, and he would start out sleeping in the bed, and then, you know, I'd get up at 1 or 2, and he would not be in the bed anymore. And, you know, it just got to be a bit much. And then also, I guess once scar tissue starts building up, the shoulder starts clicking a little bit when you move it. And if too much scar tissue builds up, then it's a much more difficult surgery whenever you do go in and fix that rotator cuff. And he'd gotten to the point where the shoulder started clicking, so we knew that, you know, the scar tissue had started in, and he knew he couldn't continue, you know, a few more weeks. And I'm like, you know, you're not going to start feeling better until you have the surgery. So we just got to go under the knife and take it one day at a time.
So did he decide to have the surgery, or you decided for him that he was having the surgery?
Why don't we call it team discussion? Team discussion.
It was a staff decision.
Mutual decision.
Yes.
Danyelle, one of the things that we were talking about earlier this morning, and we could not put a finger on it, I remember a game either last year or 2 years ago where Coach had COVID and could not be in attendance for the game, but they had him phoned in during the game broadcast. Do you remember what game that was? And then also, do you expect something similar to occur? I'm assuming you're probably going to be watching the game with him tomorrow. Do you expect kind of a similar setup tomorrow?
I don't, you know what, I don't remember which game it was, but I do remember it was a non-conference game. I know it wasn't LSU, so there's a little bit different situation than we're going to have this weekend. I have not heard an invitation for him to be on the broadcast, so I don't know if that's necessarily happening. We'll be up in the movie room watching the game. You know, I kind of will watch with him until he gets on my nerves, and then I'll watch downstairs and just kind of bounce back and forth between the two, because as you can imagine, it's really hard for him to sit at home and not be able to be there. I don't think he's allowed to, you know, call in and talk to the staff or anything like that. He really has to be 100% removed. So that's not the easiest thing for coaches. I'm sure you can believe that.
I think Danyelle, I think Clay was saying it earlier. I mean, you live with him. Obviously, that's your husband. And I would guess that a lot of when he's working out or going on runs or biking, he does a lot of thinking during those times. And he doesn't seem like a guy that likes to sit still. He gets irritated when he can't move and stuff. How difficult has it been on him just the last couple of days to not be in the typical basketball rhythm mid-season that he's so used to?
Well, I'll tell you, yesterday was rough because they put a pain block in whenever they did the surgery. So he wasn't in any pain yesterday. So once the anesthesia wore off, he was like walking around. I hope Dr. Cox isn't listening, but he literally went out and like was taking a garbage can in. And I was like, sit down. I know you don't feel the pain, but like, please sit down. And then he was trying to tell me, you know, he wanted to walk around the neighborhood, which I would not let him do. So that pain block wore off about 10 or 11 o'clock last night. So he is in some serious pain. So for once, he is slowed down and he has no choice but to sit down. So, you know, he's just sitting there with ice on it, and he does have the scouting report in front of him, and he's making marks, which I don't know what marks are left to make, but he's doing that. But he is in a lot of pain, so he's sitting down. He has no other choice.
And this was his left shoulder, and he's right-handed, so I guess he can still get the texting done. So I guess Michael's phone's probably still blowing up on the hour. So.
Yeah, well, it was so funny because yesterday when we came home, I've got like a million things to do, and then our 11-year-old is home, you know, doing virtual school, and we've got 2 dogs. So I'm just trying to help everybody, and he's trying to tell me to text people for him. And I'm like, you know, there's like a voice-to-text function. Like, I know texting with one hand is not I'm like, see this little microphone. Do your own text messages.
Well, and I was talking to someone who's been to some practices, and he's very prone, as you know, to jump into drills, which led to this. For those in the audience maybe don't know the whole story, that was kind of how this happened in practice. Trey Wade came down on him, and that the shoulder had didn't want any more to do with it. So.
Yeah, exactly. We wish it was Chris Likes that came down on him, but it was our player that is most like an NFL linebacker.
So no more jumping into drills for Coach. Is that your new rule?
I mean, no, there's no way I could stop him. I mean, that's one of the things that he prides himself on, is being able to do all of that stuff. So that's not going to continue. I barely got him to stop playing pickup ball, which is how he tore his Achilles 10 or 11 years ago. So I small victories is what I go for.
Danyelle, I remember when I got my wisdom teeth pulled and I also tore my ACL, there was some medication that was given to me that had me a little loopy, and my parents still have these videos of me trying to communicate with them and just post-surgery or post-wisdom teeth pull. Have you gotten any America's Funniest Home videos of Coach Muss post-surgery at all?
No, he was. I just was feeling kind of bad for him. I didn't even have the heart to film him. He was in such disarray.
Now, has he been sequestered to the pool house, or are you keeping? Because I know you were talking about it might be different.
I mean, I'm not that mean. I'm not going to put an injured person out in the pool house. He is in the front guest room because that's where they put that's where we were able to put our recliner. So he's not in our bedroom. He's in the front guest room. But let me tell you how nice of a wife I am. I went in and slept in the guest room with him last night. And it's a good thing that I did, because he was up about 4 times, needing medicine and all different things. Yeah. So we're both in the guest room together.
So what will it be like going through the game? You mentioned the difficulty from being away. Not like for him, because we know it will be a nervous wreck for him, win or lose, just going through the 40 minutes. What's it like for you trying to keep him corralled during this game tomorrow that's coming up with LSU?
Oh, I have to get mean. Like, he thinks I'm serious. He thinks I'm joking when I'm telling him to sit down. And finally I'm like, look, I'm going to be like, look, you have to sit down. I have to get mean. It's the only thing to listen to. I have to be the coach.
Yeah. We'll get you a whistle. You can start handing out some technicals there in the living room.
I have one. Might tie him down and get like an ace bandage and just wrap him to a chair.
Yeah.
Danyelle, we've heard Eric's side of the story about how you two first met, but I don't think I've heard your side of the story. You speak on this at all. And I know guys love to embellish. Oh, she was infatuated me from when she first looked at me, or she was, she couldn't keep her eyes on me. But I wanted your perspective. I think it was a function or a banquet of some sort, if I remember that correctly. What do you remember about the first time you met Coach, from your perspective and your vantage point?
Yeah, I just remember thinking like, oh, wow, he's such a nice person, which he's not that nice to people he doesn't know. So now, like, looking at it, I said, oh, he was in love at first sight with me, because he could not have been nicer. But yeah, we met. I was speaking at an event. He was in the audience, and afterward we were sitting down out by the pool. I was sitting down first, and he came over. And then he eventually asked me for my phone number, and then I realized, oh, I think he's interested. And I had heels on. I'm an inch taller than Coach without heels on. And we both stood up, and I was like, oh, I'm taller than you. It just came out of my mouth, and he said, yeah, I don't care. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess if you don't care, I don't care. The rest is history.
I like to make fun of my dad, Danyelle, because both my mom and stepmom are both taller than him, and I think he's about the same size of Eric. But it's never bothered. I asked him, I was like, "Does that bother you at all?" And he's just like, "No." And it seems like the same way for Coach.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Luckily, I don't wear heels that much anyway, so it works out. I mean, we wear the same size shoes, so that's like an advantage. That's how we look at it.
I think so. My stepsister works at a clothing store that you guys frequent, and she's told me that like she's heard y'all like you give him a hard time about like his size or his clothing, which I just thought was hilarious, just because you guys seem to have a relationship that you can make fun of each other, and the back and forth seems to be that there's definitely a dynamic and a chemistry there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then don't add our 11-year-old into it. If you add her into it, then it's just everyone's going in on everybody else. But we wouldn't have it any other way. We like to laugh in our house, and we like to keep it as light as possible. I'm the kind of person that I don't take much too seriously. I'm a good counter to Coach. I'm more like the calm, cool, collected person, and he's not, as we all know. So it's a good balance and a good mix in our household. My daughter is much like Eric, I will say, so that gives me fits sometimes, kind of 2-on-1. But other than that, we're all good.
Yeah. So Coach is going to miss a couple of games. When will he? I'm sure he's already trying to talk into driving him to the facility so he can break down film or do something at the office. So how long is he going to be back to the office, and when's he going to get back to his comfort zone over there at the practice facility?
I have a feeling that he will be there, depending on pain. If his pain is a lot better, I think he'll be there on Sunday. I already know. If he's still in pain, I know he'll be there on Monday. Because the pain is the only thing. Like, he can get over, being immobile and having to sit down. He can deal with all that. It's just once the pain subsides. But I've just told him, I'm like, we got to take this one day at a time. You just see where you are every morning when you wake up. And there's really nothing else that we can do. So that's kind of our plan of attack. And, he doesn't like being in pain, but all that being said, he's going to be as tough as he can to get back on that bench, because I know that's where he wants to be. I think they're going to have to figure out just a place where he can be, where he is shielded or, safe, because, like, if Jalen Williams comes flying out of bounds, cannot be flying into Coach and his repaired shoulder.
Oh, man. Danyelle, one last question before we let you go. And, again, we really you appreciate you making some time for us. I think you or Coach posted the picture of Mariah and you going to Cotillion. That brought back memories. My dad had me go to that as a kid, and it might have been changed, and things might have kind of been put on the back burner because of COVID and everything. But how has Mariah's first couple experiences at Cotillion been for her?
Oh, she loves it so much. She loves it. I mean, it's really, I don't know if it's only a Southern thing, but it was something that we really weren't familiar with whenever we were living on the West Coast. So it's really big and popular here. She loves it. The funny thing is, she has decided to wear sneakers instead of wearing the heels that she's supposed to. So she's got a little bit of her dad in there. She likes the fancy kicks. And I'm like, you're not going to get, kicked out of Cotillion for this, are you? And she's like, no, Mom, it's good. And so far, so good.
Yeah. She's setting fashion trends just like Coach is.
I got a 10-year-old, and we took her to buy shoes, and she bought multicolored Converse the other day. She's so proud of them. So I've got one about the same age. One too. I completely get what you're talking about.
That's awesome. Well, Danyelle, again, thank you.
Do you?
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for spending some time with us. It's good insight to kind of what Coach is going through. And I feel like every time we get a chance to talk with Muss, we not only get a backstory of this basketball program, but just also kind of an insight into the Musselman household as well.
Yeah, everybody wants a peek into that household. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
All right, good luck with the rehab on the shoulder.
Thanks, I appreciate it. We need it.
All right, thank you.
BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile wagering to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.